Here we are. Look at this. This is fancy. Wow.
Yes.
We're on stage.
Oh,
We're
okay.
like literally.
Good.
This is legit. Okay.
Okay.
We've hit the big time.
Yes. Okay. Which means if you want to say something and if you want to be on stage, you need to
click.
indicate this somehow. Oh, I think you can request it somehow, and then we can promote you.
Yeah. Shall I go back? I go back to the channel and tell the people.
Oh, I've already left a comment there.
Okay.
And
I think we're at 32. I think we're good.
Yeah, we have still 5 people there. Oh, now they are coming.
Oh, you know what? You know what? It's really crazy. You can take people on the sidebar, and I think you can at least drag and drop. Don't know if it does anything. It. Yeah. Okay.
Write again something in the other, because I think I'm still here.
So excuse the chaos.
Wait,
everyone who's
I can't
joining.
hear you. Just music. Is this right?
You have to switch off the music. You can, I think.
You can.
At the bottom there is a thing.
I hear fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we wanted to recreate the famous DA 2-minute demo videos with music background is what we're trying to do. We're that buttoned up.
Yeah.
Okay, we can get started, right?
Let's get started. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're just gonna dive in.
Yeah. Let me.
And
check.
yeah. So everyone, thanks so much for joining. This is the biggest audience we ever had on Discord. So big actually that we had to switch to a slightly different setup, which is causing Dominic and myself to look completely disoriented. But please don't let this stop you from enjoying the show, because Chris has prepared what he said, something that needs to be looked at 0.5 speed, because it's so much and we're all going to cram it in to the remaining 50 minutes. So let's go.
Okay, you all can see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, we have to click on it, I think. Yeah.
What's that?
I have to click on it, and now it's big. Good. You can go.
Okay. Okay. Probably first, it's funny because people talk about DA like it's, and again, as Lars said, this is going to be pretty rapid fire. We have a lot of stuff to cover. There's a lot to share. There's been a lot of really great work that's been happening in the last year. We're sort of doing our tradition, which has kind of turned into an annual thing. We did one in November of 2023 where we did a deep dive into DA. And then we did one in 2024, and now this year is the year. And so speaking of that, I was lamenting because I'm mildly nostalgic, just like Lars, and I was looking at when originally DA was originally started, when I started working on it, and it was April of 2023. So DA actually turns 2 years this month, 2 years old. So happy birthday to DA. What's that?
Happy birthday, DA.
Yes. I'm not going to bury the lead. The most exciting thing for us is DA and UE coming together. We kind of like with Cedric and the AEM Sites team, Marcus, Max, we started working on this project where we could help our commerce customers who were looking for in-context editing. We wanted to give them a path with a very low provisioning process path to get UE. And the thing that we've heard, I mean, you see it if you go scroll back in the Discord, it's like, hey, if I start a crosswalk project, can I just move over to Docs and seamlessly move between the two? And the answer was always kind of like, it's going to be a little rough and borderline impossible to do. Crosswalk kind of spits out some different markup that you might not have in doc-based. And so it is super early days, but we do want you to know about this stuff. So if you go to da.live, and you go into Sandbox, and I believe we have this set up, and if we don't have it set up on this org, no, we do. Okay, great. There's a property that you can add to your org config. So you just click on, if you're not familiar, you can go into your breadcrumb and click on the config for your org, and you can set editor path. And so what you can do is you can define a path that will automatically open up Universal Editor. And what's great about this is the content repository is the same. You can literally open up in either Universal Editor, or you can open it up in document-based authoring in DA. It's awesome. It's just truly, truly awesome. And what's great about it is Marcus, and again, I said this was going to be rapid fire, so buckle up. Marcus did a bunch of contributions to make our boilerplate project quote unquote universally compatible with both. So if you go to da.live and you want to start a new project and you choose AEM block collection here, this is going to have all of the latest and greatest of Marcus's best practices for building a UE project. And so what this looks like in practice is you can actually see, so we're in AEM Sites DA block collection universal editor. So if I'm in a path, if I'm looking for a page under this path, I'm automatically going to get universal editor. I'm not going to get the normal document authoring experience. So we can see that if we go in here. So we go back to AEM Sites and we open up, we'll just make a new page here. So you can actually see it, or actually we'll make a new folder, I guess. So we'll go to DA block collection, and then it's probably universal editor right here. We have demo. You'll see that, boom, I'm immediately opened up into universal editor. So I don't even see document-based authoring. I'm right in here. Wow. I've got all my sections, everything. I can select my styles, everything that you would expect from universal editor, except for the content repository is using the exact same APIs as DA. The fine print here is you need to have an Experience Cloud org. So you need to have this sort of @ sign. So if you go to experience.adobe.com, you're going to see this little this sort of username or org name. You're going to need that. And then if we go, where is it? Right here. You'll see that you just have the name, and you'll see a ue.da.live. We're overdue. I wrote some docs up, but we're overdue to make it public. So if you have any questions on this, please, ask in the Discord or whatever. We're just so excited about this, especially for our commerce customers. We think they're going to like it a lot. Any questions on this, or like quick stuff?
Marcus, if you could paste the thing that you need to put in the edit path, I think that would be great. Then Chris doesn't have to alt tab, and everyone can try it at home.
Yep.
Yeah. And can you show me once again how do you switch between the two?
So you can just open up right here. So there's a little button here, and if you hover over it, it will even say Open in Context Editing.
Right.
So there's a lot of fine print here. It is very early days. It's in the early access program. So like if you're a commerce customer and you're interested in this, or you're another customer and you're interested in this, please reach out. We're really excited to get feedback on this, but it is very much early days. You're going to have paper cuts. There are things that we need to address. And a good example of that is, some of the localization flows that we've built inside da.live. UE was built for sort of an MSM style approach, a non-document based approach to localization. So we know we have a lot of work to do and a lot of work in front of us, but again, couldn't be more excited.
Very cool. Thanks.
Yep. And again, watch all this half speed, go screenshot URLs and things like that. Marcus will help.
Yeah. So there's one question, Chris, there's one question from Raf on the chat, which is, do you suggest UE for certain pages and traditional DA for others? All or nothing, or what's your approach to this?
Yeah, so I think there's two schools of thought. And if you want your authors to have a guided authoring experience, I think UE is great. If you want your content authors to have the lowest amount of support needs, I would probably put them into document-based authoring. Everyone knows how to use a Word document. Those existing characteristics that we've been talking about with SharePoint and Google Drive, those things don't go away.
Yeah.
From a development perspective, it is work. It is work. We know this from the AEM world. When you support a WYSIWYG environment, you go and you work on your code on the delivery side, and then you have to do work to make the WYSIWYG happy. You're going to have to make some adjustments, and that's sort of reflected in some of the pull requests, and you can see kind of like what's really great about this is you can look at Marcus's PRs and kind of get a sense of like, okay, if I have an existing doc base, let me get a sense of like what it's going to take to change these things or add these things. So you can get a sense of what needed to change, and you can look at Marcus's PR and be like, oh, okay, so it's work, but it's totally possible. So this is a great PR to look at to say, like, if you have an existing doc base site that you want to maybe move over to UE, this is a good PR to kind of know, like, to kind of scope out what that effort will look like. Does that help, Ralph?
I'm taking that as a yes, and if follow-up questions come, I will repeat them. Yeah, Ralph is saying yes, thumbs up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing, you'll see a common thread with this call in particular about the work that we're doing to enable our friends in commerce to have really great storefronts. So another topic that we're going to touch on is, I think the next one is experimentation. And a couple of these experimentation, we're going to roll into this, what we're calling a super light alpha. So if you're used to Coral UI and you've ever built any sort of like micro front ends for Helix, you're like, you kind of miss Coral UI. You kind of miss Granite. You almost miss Spectrum. You're like, well, I would love to just have an Adobe branded field that I could just use. So Hannes, who's also on the AEM site, him and I have been poking around this idea of like, what if we created a library for fields that you all could use? And so we're kind of internally testing this, but again, we want to share early and share often. So if you go into just standard old DA-live wiki, so we'll go to wiki, you'll read about this. So we'll go to DA SDK components. So our contract to you is we don't want you to have to learn any sort of custom APIs to make UI. I have certainly been on the receiving end of really difficult developer documentation, and we sort of have this theory that like the best way to have documentation is to use somebody else's stuff who's already documented it. So if you are a customer and you're like, hey, I need to build some sort of micro front end for DA or UE, and I want it to be really lightweight, our contract to you is that you add a single line to your project. It's just one single JavaScript import, and you get an input, you get select, you actually get text area. So this is a touch out of date. You get an Adobe grade buttons, you get an Adobe grade dialog, and again, I'll show all of this. But what's cool is you can take your existing inputs, and all you have to do is add an SL dash. So if you know how to make a regular old HTML input, you just add SL dash, you make it self-closing, and then you're ready to go. You've got a great looking UI. So where this has manifested is we actually worked on a project where this school came to us, or this Department of Education came to us and said, hey, we have teachers that want to build their own sites, and we have like 2,000 sites that they have to make. So we actually use Superlight to make this so they can get a site up and running. And so since I'm a big believer in demos and showing real things, we'll show this. So here's their little generator, their school generator. So we can just say Discord school, and we can just say, we love the new stage feature. And then we can say Lars Trial off. Did I get that right, Lars?
Yes. And principal's message is turn on the camera.
Turn on your cameras. And then we'll hit create site. So while this is creating, and we're big fans of DA speed and advertising DA speed, so we put timers on everything. But see how you get these like nice, really great accessibility controls. If you tab through, you get all of this stuff. Well, this is all using Superlight. And if we inspect in this and we look, so we have SL input. So we're actually drinking our own Kool-Aid eating our own dog food. I don't know. All those things. So SL dash, type text, name, school name, placeholder. So you already know how to use these things. It's really, really fun. So we're publishing. Usually takes about 50 seconds to get a brand new site. So we'll do this. Section metadata. Boom. Done. Our site is made. We can open this up. And here it is. Welcome to our school. We can go see Lars's principal message. Turn on your camera. We can see the Discord school. We love the new stage feature. So these teachers can just fill out a simple form, and because of the power of config bus and what? Oh,
yeah, I'm just saying. Right. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So because of config bus, this makes it super easy. So if you are part of an organization and you have a ton of sites, like these things are at your fingertips. If we were to actually look at the code for this, which I think is right here, it's just a stupid small set of code to get these things up and running. The HTML is really simple. We are particular fans, as you know from our other Discords, we're real big fans of web components. So we use web components for creating all of our interactive, like highly interactive UIs. But I mean, less than 250 lines of code, and you have an entire site generator for your users. Yep. It's really fun, and it's using our sort of alpha Superlight components. Along that, so that's kind of the customer use case. Even though we were doing it on behalf of a customer, so we were kind of like, putting our customer hat on. The other places that we've done this is experimentation. So here we have a project for City Signal. City Signal is kind of like, you've heard of Geometrics, you've heard of We Retail, you've heard of Weekend. City Signal is the next version of this. And we have experimentation here. Now, what's cool about this is it's using all the existing experimentation stuff So if you go look at, I believe it's Julian's documentation and plugin system and all of that, they've kind of taken up the mantle on experimentation. This is all working in harmony with all of that. So we can actually even go to drafts and see Millar, and we'll just do Discord. This page doesn't even exist, which is kind of fun. And if we want to experiment on this, so we'll pull up experimentation. So we'll see that I'm already logged in. So this is, again, just using the DA SDK, and it, of course, says we have no experiments on this page. And again, big shock, we're using our Superlight components, so we get that nice Adobe grade look and feel. So we'll create new, and we'll just say my experiment, and we can say A/B test, overall compression or conversion.
Yep.
If you want to do like canary releases, you can like maybe say, ooh, maybe I want 5% of my traffic to get this variation, or you can just lock it for a straight up A/B test. Now it tells us we have unsaved changes, and of course we did this. We just randomly went to this 404, so we can hit save draft here. Oops, we don't have a URL here, so I'm going to steal something else. So we'll just do main city signal. What should we do? Drafts. Sure. Cart copy. Is this still a page? Okay, it's not actually, you know what? I think I have. Let's do a C Millar, and we'll do challenger. I think is still a thing. Is it still a thing? Oh yeah, perfect. So we'll use this as our challenger. So we're on this 404 page. We'll have this as our challenger, and then we'll save draft. So updating doc with experiment, previewing document, boom, and now we can toggle between the two. So we actually made the page in DA automatically. So if we go just to fact check me here. Boop. Hash AAB sites, our good friends at City Signal, and drafts, C Millar, and we'll see our Discord page that was created. We can see that it was automatically previewed. Boom. Right. So it's there. It's only going to have the metadata because, of course, that was just a 404 page. But we can switch between the two. So we're like, cool, that's great. Boom, boom. Switch between the two. If we decide to edit this, and let's say we decide to publish it, so we can publish, boom, previewing, publishing, and creating version, done. So now we can see that experiment is active, and then if we were to go fact check me here, you would actually see the experiment status was changed to active. If we were to, just for funsies, because we love our real-time collaboration and we love showing off, If we move this out, let's close this and we'll move this over. And again, this is the fire hose. Go watch this at half speed. We want to delete this experiment. Oh, something's going terribly wrong. Delete the experiment. Pause the experiment. So we'll just delete it. And it's like, hey, deleting this, we want you to know, like, hey, you have to republish the entire page. So if you have in progress updates here that maybe is like embargoed content. So again, notice the dialogue. So this is coming right from Superlight. So that's there. We'll hit delete. Writing the metadata. You're going to see all of that go gonzo. And boom, there it is. And now there's no experiments on the page. So if something goes terribly wrong, you can go change that. Again, that's available to you. You turn on the plugin system and yeah. All right. Next, where did I have? I think it's right. Oh, I screwed it up. Of course I did. Let's go find if I can find the. No, I'm not even gonna find it. Oh no, I lost my notes. Let's do. I think I know where it is. DA. What was it? AM sites. DA block collection drafts. C Millar. Discord. Where was this? Oh, let's see. We can just sort by modified. Okay, there it is. All right. Okay. So you saw the customer use. We built that little site generator. The next thing is the /menu/block options. So one of the big things that people talk to us about is...
Chris, I'm seeing snapshots on your notes, and I know how much you've been raving about them. So okay. Was this a blink and you miss it moment for me or for you?
No, blinking. Yeah, I was on to the next thing. Okay. Yeah, let's talk snapshots. Let's do we'll talk snapshots. I'm logged in as an admin user, but I think that's fine. Okay, so we're in DA block collection, and let's just preview this page real quick because we're gonna make a snapshot of it. So we're on aem.page. We have the frequency page. We're going to copy this URL because we want to stage it out. Maybe I want to get Lars's approval for this. Maybe I have like a Black Friday promotion that I want to do for this. So if you've missed content packages in the Edge delivery world, or you've missed AEM launches, snapshots are going to be your jam. You're going to love them. I have fallen in love with them in the last like couple of weeks because they solve a lot of pain points for when you want to make changes to content in two places at once, or you want to do content approvals without like a real big heavyweight approval process. It's like, I just need Susan to look at this page and give me a quick peer review. So we have our page, and we're big fans of just copy pasting URLs. So I can go to apps, and I'm going to make a snapshot here. So I'm just going to say snapshots, hit go. And you'll notice that some of our cards in the app section are hash aware. So it automatically knew that our context was DA block collection. So it shows all of the snapshots that I have. And so we'll make a new snapshot, and we'll just say Discord, of course. Throw in the URLs. We're going to put in a password. So 123, hit save. And we can go view this. So we'll open it up. Now, here's what's interesting. First, the content is protected, which is awesome. So everything that's in the manifest, we're only gonna have we're only snapshotting the stuff that's in the manifest, but I'm going to type in 123. So I hit go. And notice that we have our snapshot name. So in our world, in like adobe.com, we had like 3 or 4 AEM servers fully dedicated. Like we had a Con A environment, we had a Con B environment for those times where we wanted to make content off our production server. This is what snapshots are for. So you can use this for content approvals. Now, if you have code that is specifically looking for, like if you do any code that's looking at the subdomains, do know that you're getting a new segment added. And if you have any code that's targeting aem.page or aem.live, do know that aem.reviews is now a thing. So you may need to be aware of that if you have any code that's like expecting an aem.live or aem.page URL, or if you just are thinking, oh yeah, the first part of that segment is always going to be my branch name. I know on adobe.com we have some assumptions there, so Do note that. So if I as a reviewer, I approve this and I like it, I typed in the password and everything, I can just review it, or I can just approve it. So if I even go to here and I go to aem.live, boom. And so this is obviously a 404. We haven't launched this page yet.
Right.
Shout out AEM launches. So I can, I want to request a review. So I'm going to hit request review. Since most of us are nerds on the call, you can think of these as like PRs for content, which is super fun. So this is ready to review. You go send your, maybe your super authors or something, this page, and say, hey, I have some content that's ready for review. And it's like, boom, this one's ready to review. Test is ready. Maybe Max has been rejected. So if we have this, we request review and then we reject it. You'll actually see that this goes into a rejected state. So we can release this. So we'll just say approve and publish. Boom. So we approve, publish, and here's our page. So now it's live. Now what's cool about this is like you can have as many pages as you want. So again, it kind of solves some of that like AEM launches use cases. The next thing is we have this cool thing where you might truly want to edit content in two places at once. So think of like adobe.com where we have like a Photoshop page. Well, maybe we have like some embargoed new Gen AI thing that we need to talk about, but we need to work on it for months in advance. And again, the common use case is like Black Friday scenarios. So what we can do is we still have our snapshot here. I'm going to sync this down into what we call the snapshots folder. So it's actually going to make sort of a copy of this content. So we'll do sync. And so now if we open this up, so we'll just go to DA live hash AEM sites, DA block collection dot snapshots, and we'll have a new folder called Discord, and it has all of our content. So anything that was in the manifest, it's already there. So we'll go to Chris Millar, frequency, and then we can make some updates. So we're like, okay, maybe we don't want to say spitballing, the final topic list. Now we might also make some updates in the original. So we have spitballing topics, not final, still working, and you know what? We'll even add. So we'll. Oh, I'm going to spoil that. So let's not do that. Let's add maybe a hero here. So we add a hero, and it's like, okay, so I made my sort of run the business updates where I added this hero, but I need to get that down into my snapshot because, we want to keep these two things in sync. Well, right. I'm glad you asked. So we can hit the sync button and it's going to fork that content back down. And if we go back to our page, we can see, hey, you have some upstream content. And so this is using all the localization diffing that we do, that MSM like flavor in document-based authoring. So we can say, oh yeah, we want that upstream content. We want to keep our final topic list, but we don't want that spitball stuff. We're legit here. Now, here's what's really cool, and the sort of magic about this is you have this entire, again, it's very AEM launches like, you have this entire content tree that's ready to go. And so if I hit preview, we actually intelligently detect that you're in a .snapshots folder. So if you hit preview or publish, we're going to take you automatically. What's that?
I'm saying you're going to reviews, which is perfect.
Yes. So we'll automatically take you to the reviews page. We won't take you into .snapshots or anything like that. You can see that we have our final topic list. Again, this is all embargoed content. I send this off for review, and yeah, it's really great. And I'm already passworded in, so you want to go get your VP to approve this stuff. They approve it, and then you just go release it again in the snapshot. Does that tickle your fancy, Lars?
Yes, it's awesome.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
this is kind of like, I know a lot of people were starting to do like staging content with like repo lists and stuff, but this is no code. So you don't have to make a repo list site. You just fork your content. It's right there. And also you get, if you need to promote, so you need to send it back up, you can also do that. So you can hit promote. Boom. If we go into our original, you're actually going to see we have our final topic list. Yep, we want that from our original snapshot. We don't want that stuff, and you're good. if I remember correctly, I don't think AEM launches did a reverse sort of diffing, so that's kind of fun. The one other thing that I forgot to mention, so when you're on aem.reviews, so if you've ever worked with content packages, you make a content package, you put it onto AEM, you put it onto a lower environment maybe, and then you're like, crap, I forgot 10 pages, or maybe my other 15,000 pages are out of date. aem.reviews automatically stitches your live content and your manifest content together. So you are all like, you have your manifest, so maybe it's only those 5 pages, but then also all of your live content. So aem.reviews is always up to date with the latest stuff, and it only includes the few pages that you want.
So the snapshot is basically overriding and adding to the content that is live.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it doesn't need to include everything, right? It doesn't need to include stuff that is not relevant for the particular project or for the particular launch.
Bingo. Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Next one. Slash menu and block options. Us sort of team document-based authoring folks, we always talk about the speed and everything, and then the common question is, well, Chris, Lars, David, you say like, oh, document-based authoring is so easy, but I'm in section metadata and I have the word style. What are my authors supposed to do? Like, where's the drop? Yeah, what can I put in there?
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've added what we call slash menu or block options, and so you can just hit slash and you get all of the tokens that you as a super author. And again, you don't need a developer to do this. You as a super author, whatever you've blessed. So I can say, oh, I want some XL spacing, comma, and I can say quiet, and maybe we have background, so I can do background slash, and now I have my colors. So here's all of your colors, so you can always stay on brand, and you can give that sort of guidance to your author so they're not flying blind anymore. They don't have to like go find that one page that has the thing that they think they want. It's like, no, I just hit slash, and what do I got? Oh, I've got Express Gradient. Now, you can choose whether or not you want to, for the sake of colors, you can choose if you want to like how locked down you want to be. Does this resolve to a spacing token, or does it resolve to an actual color? That's totally up to you. How this all works and how this all comes together, if we go into DA block collection, docs, library, blocks, oops, wrong page, blocks the sheet, and you go to options, you can see that we have pipe delimited in case you do want to have like commas and stuff. So if you do these special like color tokens where you do dark gray equals a specific color, we are going to give you those nice little swatches. But we found that this has been very intuitive for our authors, and they've been big fans.
It's basically like, right, in document authoring, you have a bit like the productivity gains of the Unix command line. Right? If you know what you want to type, you can be incredibly fast. And with this, you're getting tab completion, right? Because you can just say, hey, slash, give me the options. Tell me what you can do.
Yeah, and what's great is like, so think of it. The one that I really like is like I type /, I say LI for library, I hit enter, I type HER down, enter, and I have a block on my page. So we're really leaning on like those power users. Like we want to send you some love too. We don't want to just send the people that know how to use word love. It's pretty great.
Never take hands off the keyboard if you want to author with DA. Great.
Yes. Yep. And again, it's early days. We know that DA being early access technology, there are paper cuts. We have the VIP program and this badge because we want to hear your feedback. We have a lot of work to do. We will never be done as far as like making the editor better, whether it's keyboard shortcuts or usability or accessibility. So just keep the ideas rolling, if you would. The next one, since my friends from SmartLink are on the call, you all know, like you have, or hopefully that you have zero config localization. So we can actually take any project, and to prove this point, we'll go to, I believe, Adobe Oh yeah, Adobe Summit. So here's a lab that we did. So there's all these seats, and Lars, if you wouldn't mind picking a number 1 through 100.
73.
73. Okay, we're gonna localize something from page 73. So again, if you make a project and it's like, where's the OSGI config to enable localization or something like that, you can actually just go from nothing to having something. So we'll actually take the home page, which is maybe not exciting. So we'll just preview this real quick. And there's our homepage. Now, typically, if you're localizing content, you know, those product managers that want to localize content, they give you a Jira and you have like 500 URLs. So if you have to go to a picker, then you have this just list. Maybe it's probably an Excel file even. You have this list of URLs, and then if you're having to go through to a picker to like pick each individual page for your, it's not very productive. So again, team text box here. So we're just going to copy this URL. We go to apps 73. We go to translate. Again, this is no smoke and mirrors. No projects have been found. Shout out to Sabia if he's still on the call. He made this awesome localization dashboard. So we'll say, throw in our homepage. Now, what's cool is if we say, maybe my PM gave me something terrible. Now, if I'm hunting around in a picker, I'm like, am I crazy or are they crazy? Or like, I'm not seeing it in my list of content that I'm supposed to pick for those checkboxes. So I'm just going to hit next, and DA will automatically tell you they're off their rocker.
Chris, can we quickly go back and add seat 80 to that as well? I'm asking for a friend who needs additional localization.
Seat 80?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you mean like add them to the same project?
Yes.
You cannot add multiple. They have to all be from the same project, but I think we actually do this. I think we actually detect that they're not from the same place. Okay. So let's just fact check me real quick if our error checking is good. I'm pretty sure we'll actually. Oh yeah, we put you on Rails.
Okay.
Yeah, Ralph, we set you up. We try to set you up for success.
Perfect. Yeah, you're safe.
Okay. So we'll send the homepage for 73, and we'll throw in some bad content, and then so it tells us, hey, there's one error. You have one selected. We didn't find any fragments in your page, so we'll automatically find your fragments. And again, we didn't configure anything. Lars picked this seat out of his hat, and we'll just say, okay, we want to translate everything. We want to skip, and we will create project, and we will translate. Now, this is all great, but there are times where you need big kids to get involved. You need like the Smartlings. You need what other vendors are out there. We have an internal one for called Globalization as a Service. We have a very simple connector program because most of DA is open source. So if we go to DA sites, Nexter, and we go into NX, and we go into blocks, and we go into loc, you can actually see that we have a connector example, which hopefully I still have this. Oh, I don't have it. Boo. Well, I'll show you the Smartling version because it's pretty awesome. So we'll go to Smartling and index. And so this is actually one singular file, and we were able to support Smartling, which is really awesome. You need to, so if you want to build a connector, you need to have a function for is connected. So we know that like, hey, this person is authenticated. So you can actually see we're getting token details here. You need to be able to provide a connect function. You need to be able to create job as internal, create batch as internal, you need to allow us to get items from your service. We need to be able to send all languages. And then last but not least, we need to be able to get status on everything.
Okay. So basically, you just need to look at the exported functions on this file.
Yes.
And you've got the API you've got to implement. Okay, cool.
Yes, exactly. And you send us a PR, and boom, we're happy to help you, and you can develop this all locally as well. Let's again use our friends at Smartling here. So we'll just go to hash AAB sites. Again, I prefer real world examples, so we'll do Smartling, and I think I have a demo here. changing the world through personalized. So this is my favorite about Adobe page. So again, preview it. PM sends me a Jira ticket. Hey, I want you to translate this. So we'll go to apps, and so this is actually important. Again, sorry for the fire hose. If we go to .da, you can, so config list, great. I just want to see how this works. I just want to show a customer whatever. But there are times where you need like big kid stuff. And let me, well, I guess we're going to have to change the user secret now. You have big kid translation needs. We have this on adobe.com. And again, you can set your translation service information. You can set what languages. If you have a scenario where you have a regional based site, so you think of like Langstore, well, we call it Langstore, but like in an AEM context, you would maybe call it Language Master. So you have your source of truth, any associated locales. So if you are regional, like adobe.com, and then any particular actions. We support rollout, which would mean like take my language and roll it out to my locales. We support translate, which obviously means send for translation. To see a really mature version of this, if we go to our friends at adobe.com and go into translate and we look at their languages, like just so you have Langstore EN and then the associated locales. And because our source of truth is already English, we would only support rollout. You can add custom fields if your translation service needs these things. So here we can actually see we have some AI translations, some Gen AI stuff there. Agentic, I think, is, if you have that on your bingo card for me to say today, well, you won. So like it's incredibly powerful, but again, very, very, very simple. If you know how to use a spreadsheet, you're set.
Yeah.
The other thing to know before we actually send a project off to Smartling, we have what we call natural language translation rules. So a lot of times, you have these fields that you don't want to translate. Like a good example is we had some friends doing a HubSpot block, and they're like, well, we don't want HubSpot ID to be translated or the URL to be translated. So we do have natural language translation rules to say like, hey, translate call 2 if call 1 is title or description. Everything else in metadata will not be translated, which is kind of fun. Oh, and here's our HubSpot example. And then anything in section metadata, just don't translate it. Don't translate my CSS classes and design token stuff. Like if it's in section metadata, just don't translate.
So is this a small domain specific language that we are looking at here, or is this something that is interpreted by an LLM? How should I read this?
It is not. It is. So it's actually interesting. We used an LLM to generate this language. So it's not quite, you're not going to get hallucinations if that's where you're going. We worked with our robots. We worked with some of the best robots around to come up with this and come up with like a way to do this. So we heavily leaned on that. And so this is robot friendly, but it's also human friendly, and you're not going to get unexpected results.
Got it.
And we have some documentation on this, which I think is somewhere. Okay. So I think I still have this. Oh yeah, we still have our Smartling. So let's go send this off for Loc. So again, big shock, apps, translate. You'll see all of our demo projects. Again, just huge, awesome work by Sabia, who hopefully is still on the call. You can do all sorts of like awesome sorting for the state status of your project and everything. So we'll throw this in. We'll hit next. Boom, validates it. Great. We'll just do translate Spanish, French, translate. We'll skip English because we already have that. On source sync, you can choose to merge or overwrite. Translation return, we still only support overwrite. You'll notice that now there are times where your content may be outside of the original project. So adobe.com is kind of funny in that we have adobe.com. It's gonna take me to home. Of course it is. Let's go to our better friends here. So the root of adobe.com is US English, but then we have something like Canada, which is obviously in a completely separate spot. So if you have this scenario where you need to sync your stuff out to your English source of truth, your sort of international English, you can do that. Boom. There it is, done. And then we can send this off to Smartling. So it'll tell us that we're using Smartling. We'll hit connect. So it validated our token and everything. Now we send it off to translation. Boom, that's created. So we have our demo. This was sent 2 minutes ago. So we can, I think we have to do some stuff, and I forget almost everything because it's been a long couple of weeks since Summit. But you get the idea. They land in here. We go approve the files, and we go take action on them. It's really, really fun to like have these these integrations, and they're pretty lightweight. So if you feel like, oh, I'm kind of discouraged, you only support a couple, like, please, don't hesitate to send us a PR. I think we can approve this. I don't remember. Oh, I know why. There's no new strings. That's why it says it's not authorized, but there's just no new strings in this. So it's actually basically done. So if we hit get status, it will automatically get it back from. So you can see we sent, translated, and saved back to DA. So that's all done. So that's translation connectors. All right, let's go declare a little tab bankruptcy here. Yep. The next one is so DA's sheet editor, as great as it is not meant to compete. If we go edit that, edit sheet translate. As great as this is, and as easy as this is, we know that you're not getting Excel grade spreadsheets, especially from a like conditional formatting, row highlighting, cell highlighting. If you have more than 10,000 rows, we know that you're going to maybe want to keep some of that content in Excel. People like Excel; it's great. So
it has VLOOKUP.
It has VLOOKUP. I don't even know what that means, but I know people love it. It has pivot tables. We don't have pivot tables. We're never going to have pivot tables. And hopefully he's on the call. There's a fellow named Okan, and he built this really great and seamless. So the Helix team built this thing called Overlay. And if we go look at admin edit, so admin edit, and we do Adobe com, if I can spell. Apparently I'm not batting 1,000 here. So I'll hit fetch, and I'm probably gonna, oh no, this is good. Okay, so what you'll notice is we're looking at our content property in our admin in config bus, and you can actually see the original source is SharePoint, and you can actually see DA docs and DA Baycom, but then we overlay it with DA. And so the idea is that you can keep a very small footprint inside SharePoint for those like really big Excel needs, and then everything else can live in DA. And you have that nice little escape hatch for those scenarios. Like maybe you have a metadata sheet that is 60,000 rows. Again, I'm looking at you, business.adobe.com. So if we go to DA Live, just to see what this looks like, we made this really, really, really awesome for folks. So if we go to DA Baycom, and we added a feature in December. So if you look, we have this thing called a link. So you can actually make a new link. And what's cool about this is you can link to anything. You can link to your AEM instance. You can link to Google Drive. You can link to anything you want. And so when we scroll down, and I'm just an author looking for metadata, I see, oh yeah, there's my metadata. And I click on it, and I immediately am taken to my sheet. Oh my gosh, of course you're going to do this to me. And I can't. I don't. How many logins does it take to do a job? But you get the idea. We got punted over to SharePoint, and it's just really cool. We actually used this feature for the Commerce Lab that we did in Summit. People were like, how do we get the lab? The labs are out of date. We actually had people complaining before they even started the lab. They're like, grumble, grumble, grumble. This is going to be out of date. Grumble, grumble. And I was like, no, it's actually not, because we were flighting. If we do Summit, we were flighting updates. And we put a link to the workbook right inside every seat. And so you could click on it, and we took you to the storefront builder docs. So it's been really fun to see what these use cases have been for this. But do know that content overlay exists for those needs. I think Eric, who's part of Hero Digital /Huge, is using this for one of his projects, and it's super cool. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. I'll
No?
take that as a no. Okay. Actually, speaking of this, there are times, everybody is sort of getting excited about this, especially now that we're sort of joining forces with our friends with UE. So a lot of people are like, hey, looks like now's the time to upgrade from SharePoint or Google Drive. I get all these great things, that I've seen brewing in DA land, or what we affectionately internally call author bus land. So we have provided you, because it's low effort technically, but there are some nuances when you're upgrading from SharePoint or Google Drive. So the first one is, by default, your content is public. You have to turn on permissions, and you will use Adobe Identity to do that. Now, you don't have to have an org, but you do have to have an Adobe account. We recommend an org, so reach out to your sales folks and your account representatives and all that stuff. I don't know the right terminology these days. But you do, if you don't have an org or you're just sort of DIYing it, you can use an email-based approach. This is all documented in our permissions and security documentation. So you'll see that our overwhelming preference is to use an IMS org and your associated groups. It makes managing your permissions very, very simple. Again, if you know how to use metadata, you manage permissions on your site. If you don't have an org, you can do email-based. So you can put in emails. So if you are making that sort of ma and pa restaurant shop or something for a friend or family, you can do that. We do provide you a cheat sheet. We've seen some really great customer use cases, like some really fine-grained. Everybody asks for this. If you have ever hunted around in rep policy nodes in the JCR looking for the right permissions, you're going to be a big fan of this. The thing that we've gotten feedback from our customers is like being able to just look at a sheet and see every single permission for an entire org is awesome. It is just super, super awesome. Like I'll show Adobe Com since it's not a customer leaking. If we go into permissions, we can see all of the orgs. And so immediately I can see, okay, everybody in the org can read. Only admins can write. Everyone in the org can read everything, because people are always curious. It's like, oh, I want to see how you made that one page.
Yeah.
And then only authors are able to write in everywhere. But then we say, hey, everyone in the org, you're allowed to go nuts in the drop. Why not? Go for it. And then Bacon blog, maybe you have vendors or something like that. And so again, just at a glance, I see everything, all permissions, and we stick to those same modalities as what we do for metadata or redirects. Should feel very, very, very to you, and we've got some really great docs for it. Okay. I'm kidding. Okay, back to the developer guide. So that's now for publishing, you still have sort of your source content, your sort of authoring content. You lock that down a certain way, and because DA was really built after Edge delivery, you still have all of your preview and publish permissions that are a little separate. So you basically have edit, preview, and publish. But you do need like the traditional either a .helix config or a config bus config to lock down those people. The other thing I would say is, along these lines, if we go to user admin, and this is all available in labs.aem. If we do a search for Adobe Com, this trips people up because you're probably used to working with emails in Edge delivery land. So if we fetch, and we'll use AAB sites, fetch this. Oh no, how about DA pilot? I think I'm logged in still. Fetch. Am I still logged in? Oh. Let's do, can I fetch this? Okay, great. So this is a big difference. Because we are top to bottom IMS, we get a lot of great benefits out of the sort of Experience Cloud ecosystem as a result of that. IMS, the tokens that they make, do not contain your email address. So you need a user ID. So you can actually see that these individual users have published permissions. This user has preview. We know that this is not ideal. We know. We're just sort of like working with the hand that we were dealt. If you're in a sheet-based solution, I would recommend adding like a comment row or something, or a comment column, to know who these particular people are. We have tried to make this as easy as possible when you're locking down preview and publish permissions in Edge Delivery land. In that vein, if you have a user, or you yourself, you need to you're like, okay, there's a user ID, this sucks, I don't know what this is. The user ID is tied to your org. We tried to make this as easy as possible. So you click, your user ID will be copied to the clipboard, and then you can add that user. You can just throw that in. You can say admin. They're already in here, so it's not going to save it, but you get the idea. The other thing is,
that's also something that you can ask your authors to do, and to
Yes.
send you, Slack you the
Yes.
user ID. Perfect.
The other thing is, we know, like, if you go to Experience Cloud, if we know you click on this and you click on, like, you change one of these, or if you go to admin console, and you wait for admin console, and you wait some more, and then you wait some more. We know that, switching can be kind of painful, because now we're waiting and we've got a blank screen again. We tried to make this as fast as humanly possible, so you can actually see click, click. We'll do Commerce Extensibility Lab, click, and you're already in. You didn't even see a page refresh. So
Perfect.
We're obsessive about performance. I don't know if you can tell that I'm a very person. So that, like, there are some nuance there. It's a learning curve for everyone. For DA's live preview, there is a small code snippet you need to add. Most projects 404.html, we're due to send a PR to the boilerplate to fix this. There's some legacy code in the 404. We give you these pieces of information. So your 404 probably has used credentials. This will not allow the DA preview script to load. This is a self-invoking function that you add to scripts to get the live preview. And if you're not familiar with live preview, we can open, and if we do come over here and say, this is what I mean, and so you'll see that, boom, this is what I mean. So this will not work without that little live code. There are two properties to add to the sidekick. So when you are on a main DA block collection demo, and this will also work for crosswalk. This works for your why am I? That's weird. Did we lock? I must have locked this down. Oh, don't make me do this. You're gonna make me do this. How many logins? How many logins are we gonna do? Please don't. Please don't. Let's see if you're gonna be nice to me. Okay, cool. Okay. So, out of the box, Sidekick was originally built for Google Drive and SharePoint. So you will, if you're upgrading a site, you will not have this beautiful, like, source open in document authoring or open in crosswalk. There's two properties. Again, we have it documented, that you can add to get this. So you're on your page, you're in Sidekick, you can click on this, and it'll open in your authoring environment of choice. Next, assets. If you're going to turn on AEM assets, it does require an AEM as a cloud service instance. So we do now support dynamic media with Open API. We support injecting images as links. So if you want to hydrate them and have a different origin because you want that single source of truth and you don't want to ingest through media bus, that is available, covered in our docs, assets. Boom. You can see this. So you can say, hey, I want my image type to be a link, and it will insert a link instead of an actual image tag that would be consumed by media bus. The other thing is, we've seen customers where their published instance is locked down, and so they want to provide their own production origin. So you can also do this. See our documentation. Ooh, this is a fun one. There are some known differences in the rendered HTML between markup sources, so that's DA and Crosswalk and Universal Editor, versus Google Drive and SharePoint. The way this is typically manifested is if we go to main block collection. Oh no, it's AM block collection. Okay. if you see, and we'll wait for the nav, notice how it says default content, sample blocks, getting started, documentation. And then if we look at the same page, main DA block collection, you're going to see a slightly different nav experience, and maybe only because I'm a psychopath I notice this stuff. This is because markup injects a extra paragraph tag. If we were to look at nav plain, if you see here is, oh, why do we have, oh, here it is. So if you have nested lists, you get this extra paragraph tag. If we compare to block collection, nav.plain.html, this is a very common stumbling block. And what's cool, so you'll notice that sample blocks, there's no extra P. This is very, like, if you have a nav that's sensitive to the specific structure, if you're looking for LIP or A or something like that, there is a feature flag you can now ask for to get the same exact behavior. We tried to turn it on for all customers, but it broke some crosswalk customers, so it was blocked. It was backed out, and then now it's behind a feature flag. So if you're upgrading, do know that if you run into this, don't just preemptively say, hey, I need this. Like, see if your project is actually broken. There are a couple differences in media publishing support. I'm probably not going to cover that. Query index, this is a little confusing. You don't have to have a sheet anymore. So if you've ever had an author mess up your query index because they're poking around their Excel files, that's all gone. The query index is maintained internally in Helix, so you don't have to maintain that anymore. If you're asking about, well, what if I have conditional formatting or I want to massage my indexes and have different output, go kick out to the overlay feature and use Excel. DA has configs. Again, we apologize. We know you just got out of sort of like, is it a context-aware config, an OSGI config, a inherited page property config? We know we have work to do in our ecosystem to align our configurations. We are sorry. There is a DA config, and that's really about editing the content, and then there's the edge delivery config, which is really about delivering the content.
Yeah.
We already touched on spreadsheets. We do have an end-to-end upgrade guide that literally walks business practitioners through every single, like, our recommended approach. Again, Eric from Hero Digital is walking this process now, so he's another good resource to, if we're not around, like, go reach out to him because he's like a total expert in this stuff. Next, where are we at? Edit. If we can find our page. Okay, great. Document, yep, SDK. Okay. You saw, and this kind of gets into some of the last stuff. You saw our aem-live app, this generator. So this was built with our SDK. You'll notice that we have org, name of project, tools generator. This maps to a .html file that lives in the project, and you can actually do a ref equals, and we'll actually send you down a token to your local so you can work with your content. We do not recommend working with production content on your local. Just FYI, please do not do that. But if you're wanting to test things or you're working with other services, we'll give you that token on your local. If you're trying to get an approval for a PR, maybe you built a cool plugin or something, you can totally pass in a branch, and your fellow PR reviewers can go test out this stuff and see if it works exactly as expected. With that, there's a ton of cool stuff that people have built. You saw the site generator, but there's some really just crazy cool stuff. So I'll show you some of my favorites. So we'll go to we'll do drafts, Chris Millar, and in fact, this is one of our first ones. Say time format. I don't know. We'll make this up. I'll pull open this. You'll notice that there is a date picker. So this date picker, if you've ever had authors that are like, okay, I put in section metadata, put in publish date. How do I get a good date in here? What and it's like somebody built this little micro front end for a date picker, which is really, really cool. David Boschart, not somebody, like he's on the core DA team. So he built this, and we have expanded. This was the very first original use case of the thing. The other one that was really fun is Hero, great, boom. We built a tag browser. So your AEM tags are in your document. And this is going to take a little while to read the JCR, but you can see, boom, here it is. Here's all, like this is reading straight off AEM. Because we have that IMS token, we send it to AEM, and it's like, boom, you're already authenticated. You're browsing your AEM tags. So if your customers or you have made those investments in taxonomy and AEM, they're all available to you in DA. It's just stupid cool. You can search and all this stuff. Again, another community contribution. I love saying that I had nothing to do with this. They just built it, and it's awesome. The next fun one that I really, really like, Kieran, another internal Adobe person, but did it on a customer's behalf. These are some of my favorite ones. So we'll do Discord. Everyone knows cron tab. Does everybody know cron tab? Lars, I'm going to let you be the MC for it.
Yeah, so cron tab basically allows you to schedule tasks in Helix admin.
This, I don't know if your authors are the same as ours, but our authors sort of like had pitchforks when we gave them this. And this is also very human readable. This is also very like plain English. But the challenge is, it's got to be in UTC, and people are like, well, why are you making me do UTC? I got to go calculate that. So if I want to schedule this page, so we'll just do a quick heading here. So heading, this is my heading, just so we can see some content. So there is now, and these things we look at, and we look at the community that's building these, and we're like, this is so cool. We need to bring this in. So Kieran wrote this page scheduler, and this is using our dialogue part of our SDK. So page as a kind of a reminder, what action we want to take. When do we want it? We want it in the future. It's going to air out. If we want to go code custom and go rogue, we can do that. So we'll just say schedule. This is going to push right into the cron tab. So it schedules the page. Boom, there it is. Now, if I assume like, oh yeah, that's going to be so-and-so is going to review it or whatever, maybe I'm a little scared of snapshots. I'm stuck in my ways. We can go release this on the 12th. So we can say, okay, let's publish it. Boom, schedule it, publish it. And we see at a glance. So what's cool about this is you land on your page and you're like, oh, I wonder if this is scheduled for publish. You open up the scheduler and you see this. It's just crazy cool. And again, it's just working on top of, if we go to .helix, it's just working on top of cron tab. It's working on top of the stuff you already know. It's just I don't know. I'm a nerd. I think this is cool. The other cool ones is a fragment finder, and looks like they've built some other ones. They're going great. There's a color palette. So here's all their colors. I've never even used this before, but this looks amazing. So it will automatically inject mac and cheese. That's cool. Love it. I love mac and cheese. My kid loves mac and cheese. Let's see here. Fragments. So show me all my fragments. Who doesn't miss the content finder from AEM? Again, just because you're in DocBase doesn't mean you have to lose everything that you love about AEM. That's how we felt when we started building all this. Mm-hmm. So you click, boom, there's your fragment right in your page. So that's another fun one. Tag browser, yeah, it's all great. He's even building another asset selector. So we're not quite sure if we want to support Scene 7, the older style dynamic media, or older on-prem instances. So it's like as a plugin / SDK developer, you can do all of that stuff. And again, all of our developer-facing documentation is in our wiki. You can go. Here's our SDK. So you can make full-screen apps. That's our site creator, or those library plugins that you just saw. You just need to have a page. So tags.html. You import our SDK to make sure it fires very fast. So again, 10 lines of HTML. You then import the SDK into JavaScript, so you actually get the token. You get some context like what project, what repo you're in, etc. And then if you want to go and get all like web componenty on us, go for it. You can totally do that. If you want to use React and you want your plugin to be slow, you can do that too. You can send text. You can send HTML. We will sanitize this HTML, so don't think you're going to be injecting scripts and stuff. And then if you want, so we treat the library like a palette in Illustrator or Photoshop. So we keep this open. And the reason for that is if you want to like rapid fire, just like throw in a bunch of blocks, you just go click, close that, go to the next one, click. And so you should be able to just click, click, click. So we do, and my screen's kind of small, so we do leave this open. But if you're like, this is a one and done thing, you as a developer can choose to close that palette.
Right.
And then if you do want it, you just add an entry in your plugin. So no sort of app builder stuff is required or anything like that. You just, set the URL to your place, and you can even add an icon as long as it's a PNG for course reasons. Okay, this is it. Get involved. So go to da.live and share your ideas. If you're curious what we're working on at the moment, you can look at our roadmap, which is really just a snapshot of all of the issues across all of our different repositories, the API, our collaboration server, the UE stuff, all of that. I think there were some other frequently asked questions, so I will touch on these real quick. Thank you to the folks that asked.
And you've I have to do a shout out. You have an insane crowd here that are answering questions in the chat faster than they get asked. So so let's take a look at the FAQ, and then if there are additional questions, I'm going to read them out.
Yeah,
we can talk about it.
So can I use DA in production? Yes, absolutely. We're already using it in production. There's already several customers on it with a ton more that are working on their go lives now. A lot of different scenarios, net new customers, people upgrading from SharePoint, people upgrading from Google Drive, people that went down the UE route and maybe want to kick the tires on doc-based authoring. It is early access technology. You are going to find paper cuts. Like any software project, it will never be done, but you are encouraged to use it. Reach out to us with questions. We're happy to answer. And keep in mind, it's not so scary because you still are delivering out through Edge Delivery Services, which is like ironclad, best of the best delivery. Bunch of amazing people are building this. Do I have another migration? No. We're at the point now where you can do a very, very fast upgrade. The content is stored in sort of cloud object storage, so we abstract that all out for you. Does SharePoint and Google Drive go away? No. A lot of like your non-content authors are going to be in Word and Google Drive for the rest of our lifetimes. So even if your web content's not in SharePoint and Google Drive anymore, they're still going to be around. And also, you may have like an HR department that wants a little microsite. Maybe put them in SharePoint. It's totally up to you. I really like this idea that like if you have sub departments that prefer one thing or another, if you as an IT department, if you're like, yeah, we're cool supporting that, let them choose it. It should always be what the author and the persona wants to do. If they wanted a guided authoring experience, go use UE. If they want a document-based experience, go use DA. Licensing costs, as of right now, DA is just a subsection of Edge Delivery, as of right now. Which also, Storefront Builder, the current sort of plan is to go, nothing's official, nothing's finalized. The current plan is DA is available to Storefront customers because Edge Delivery is available to Storefront customers. Does DA plan to have approval workflows similar to AEM? We have the snapshots feature that covers some many use cases for approval workflows. It is not AEM workflows grade approvals. It is not workflow or workfront grade approvals. If you're looking for that, please reach out to us. We'd love to have a reason to integrate those things. We just are not going to build it if no one's asking for it. Any reason to still go with Crosswalk over DA, especially as it relates to customers with NSM requirements? Crosswalk is still by far the most stable version of Universal Editor.
Right.
It's also the only path that allows you to bring existing AEM code to parts of your edge delivery stack. If you only need in-context editing and not the benefits of JCR, we do recommend AuthorBus DA UE. On the MSM topic, obviously you saw all of our diffing tools and our localization tools, so it's all there. But UE being sort of new to the DA.live ecosystem, it's going to be a little cumbersome. So if you've got localization needs, I'd probably still send you over to Crosswalk. If you're like, no, I've got some pretty forgiving authors, they're okay doing the diffs in document mode and then author their content in UE, you could maybe get around it. I probably wouldn't do it, but I'd probably still go with Crosswalk. So if you want to bring your own existing stack, go Crosswalk, MSM plus in context Crosswalk, most stable version Crosswalk, DA-Live for everything else. Again, these are my opinions. Adobe is a very big company. We all have different opinions on this topic.
Yep.
For spreadsheets that use Excel formulas, AEM forms, is it still recommended? AEM forms, the Helix flavor is deprecated. We covered the content overlay feature, and again, here's your documentation for that. For customers with 6.5 AMS and are concerned, can they still use asset selector that points? Research is being done. We don't know yet. We'd probably send you to the community SDK plugin path and try to get you to work with our other customers that are doing this. If enough people want it, we'll bubble it up. Right now, it's Google Translate and SmartLing. We know documentation in Extreme Light. Yep. Is there documentation configuring blocks? Component models, UE. Again, like if you want, I really cannot recommend all the work that Marcus did on block collection enough. I found a bug in DA. Can I open it? Yes. Just go to DA Live Ideas and you'll be taken to the right place to file issues. I think those were the ones that came out of the Discord, and then happy to answer other questions. Did I lose everyone?
Do we have
No.
in chat? No.
Yeah.
Okay. We have more in the chat.
I don't know, because I don't want to open the chat because of the recording.
Yeah.
It looks ugly.
So I think we can do something easy. If you want to speak, there's a way to send a request to get invited on the stage. Don't know how you do that, given that I'm already on the stage. But I can see where
at the bottom there is a where you can go off the stage. I think it's the same button. You can go on the stage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see. Okay. So it's at the very bottom next to the disconnect button, 2 on the left, if you want to enter the stage. Otherwise, Chris is just going to read. Eric is saying you blew us away. You blew me away, and I was kind of prepared for what was happening. And Ina said, happy that she didn't miss today. I'm happy too. It was great to... Oh, yeah.
Anian, you have the mic. You have the floor.
Yes. Anian found the button. Let's see if... Hey, good to see you. Yes, we can hear you.
Ah, perfect. Cool. Well, very cool presentation. Thank you very much. It was very insightful. I guess one big topic that we are struggling with is, on the one hand, what to recommend to the customer. So which authoring method should we recommend? And I mean, there are a lot of different options now with document authoring, Dark Alley, Crosswalk with AEM, and so on. And I mean, on the one hand, what should we recommend to the customer, or what should the deciding factors be for the customer? And is there maybe one authoring method that you think hasn't that great of a future? Like, for example, the document authoring or something, the document-based authoring or something like that.
Great questions. I'll share because I think this is great, especially like for a lot of the partners that are on the call that are maybe wondering like, how do we talk about this? How do we not overwhelm our customers? So it kind of comes down to this. You want these three things. I think every customer wants this. They want to be able to create content easier, they want to develop faster, and they want better site speed. So if we can all agree that you want these three things, then you want edge delivery services. At that point, you have already you're here. Now, if your customer,
Chris, you are sharing your Discord, and it sounds like you want to share something else.
Yes, sorry. Let's try that again. Screens, entire screen. Okay, sorry. Okay. So you want you want to create content easier and empower more people to be able to create content. You don't want them to have to know, very complicated authoring, and only a small subsection of authors can create content. You want the fastest development time, and you want better site speed. This is what edge delivery starts with. So if we start with that, you're here. Now, if you want to bring your own content, if the idea of hooking up Adobe to your intranet in SharePoint or Google Drive, if you want to bring your own content, if your customer wants to bring their own content, go use SharePoint and Google Drive. If they have a lot of content, in the tens of thousands, 20s of thousands of pages, and you think they're going to run into what I call content maturity problems. Oh, we want to change a link. How do we do that? Well, DocX is not super fun for that. Google Drive is significantly better. If you're like, you know what, we love you, Adobe. Like, we're all here because you build great products. You're over here. So we've already sort of segmented down here. And so it now comes down to, do you want in-context editing? Do you want forms-based editing, or do you want document-based editing? Forms, you're looking at like omni-channel experiences and things like that. In context is really like kind of the bread and butter of what AEM has always known. Universal editor, it's page editor, and then we're adding DA as like this sort of first class citizen.
Yep.
Again, there's no getting around that you have to make Universal editor happy. So your development time is going to be more. Everyone has built a component in traditional AEM, or you've built a component in traditional AEM, and then your author goes to use it and they're like, hey, this is kind of weird. You're trying to make page editor happy. Universal editor is a better version of that, but you still have to add things that you would never in. So if you've got maybe a smaller engineering team that you're going to be handing off to, if your authors are, and we've seen this, and we've had some attrition scenarios where people thought that they wanted in-context editing, and then they realized, oh, you know what, maybe we actually, now in hindsight, you showed us document-based authoring, we chose in-context. In hindsight, we would have maybe gone down the document-based way. And I want to be very, very, very clear. Document authoring is document-based authoring. So when we say, like from Adobe, when we say document-based authoring, what we're talking about is using a document to make content. So these are just 3 different flavors of the example. This is just Adobe's document authoring.
It's just that document authoring doesn't have a print button, but that's because Microsoft Word and Google Docs have one, and you're not pressing it ever.
Yes.
Nobody wants to deal with paper.
Yes. The other thing is like, and for me, I'm always listening to the customer. I'm like, what are the clues? Because the customer's probably going to immediately, especially if they're an AEM customer, like, I know WYSIWYG, that's what I want. But we, and the change management aspect of it, and there's all sorts of complexities, but like the data is very real. Here's this person that slacked me on a Saturday and was like, hey, I built 84 pages from scratch in Milo, which is a document-based, which is Adobe.com's document-based. They're long-form pages, and I could have never done that in our component-based, our WYSIWYG. The data is very, very, very clear. The fastest, most productive way to make content is document-based authoring. Now, these 2 things can be true. This can be the fastest, but your authors would prefer a more guided approach. Go throw them in Universal Editor. They're going to be they're going to get what they're asking for. Does that help?
Yeah, sure, of course. I mean, I guess it's great to have a lot of options, but it also comes with like someone needs to make the decision, and someone of course, sometimes also needs to help the customer to decide.
Yep.
There's no free lunch in composability, right? All the additional choices that you get are in the end decisions that you have to make. But at the same time, it is something that allows you to fit the use case of your customer even better, right? And Chris, I think the approach that you've taken, right, that you've said, the way we typically talk about edge delivery services is we say, we want the fastest sites, and if that's a priority, you're an edge delivery, right? Then the second priority is we want fast content throughput, right? And then when it comes to fast content throughput and good content throughput, this is the decision that you should leave to your authors as much as possible, right? And then the last priority are the developers, and I'm saying this being fully aware that there are a lot of developers here in the room and on the call, and some of them can raise their hand, right? So developers are a priority, but they are the lowest priority, and that means we should take considerations like what architecture that should take a backseat, or architectural preferences should take a backseat over page performance and authoring convenience, and I think that's the point where author bus, right, the DA backend comes into play, because this gives a new experience to developers, especially in cases where SharePoint in particular is falling short.
Yep. And so, yeah, just to re-emphasize, it's funny because this 2 years ago, what's best for the visitor, then what's best for SEO, because that's how visitors get to your site. What's best for the author is next, and then yes, developer, you are last. Lars, I guess great minds think alike, or bad minds think alike. All right, next.
So we have, if you want to ask live on stage, just ask.
Amazing, 1.5 hours. Wow.
Yeah.
Still over 25.
Okay. So we do have a channel right here on Discord for DA, and it's called That Channel. So please join it if you have follow-up questions and you don't want to ask them right here live on stage.